Well, welcome to the AFCI Lounge with Beyond Cinema at Cannes. Vickson Hangula, the film commissioner for the Namibian Film Commission. I like to find out where people started. So, how long have you been the film commissioner for Namibia, and what was the immediate job you had before that?
Well, I am a filmmaker. So, in about 3.5 years ago, the minister asked whether I could not be interested in serving on the Namibian Film Commission to share my expertise, to kind of guide the government on introducing policies, legislations, and just some sort of guidelines on how the film industry should be. So purely on the basis that I'm a filmmaker, I was asked to serve on that one.
Is that a role that you're comfortable with, transitioning into something that was answerable to like a political appointment?
Well, at first I was not really comfortable because I said that, look, what am I going to do? I'm supposed to be a filmmaker asking for money to do my project from the body that now I'm kind of representing. And so it did not really sit well with me. But then I thought, okay, why don't I go in there and make things happen? You change, put things in place so that, for a couple of years I'm there just putting things in place and later on benefit from those things. So, yeah, it's a win-win thing.
Yeah. What's the greatest impact you think you've had so far? What's the greatest change you've seen?
Well, we, of course, starting to be more present in the world fora. We go to the AFCI meetings in Los Angeles, Santa Monica. We've been going there for the past 3 years. And there, beautiful things happened. Like, for example, I remember Colin Gibson, who's now the production manager on Mad Max Fury Road, actually coming to our stand and said that, look, we are thinking of bringing Mad Max to Namibia. And 2.5 years later, they're shooting Mad Max in Namibia.
So let's talk about how that even happened. I mean, obviously there were some floods, in Australia, and a lot of rain that caused a normally desert landscape to blossom with flowers and things. Is that the only reason why they decided to start looking somewhere else, or were they interested in other things, other incentives and things that you had?
Yeah, well, about the incentives, we are still working those ones out, of course. However, we have our 15% VAT rebate, and it actually comes a long way. Initially, I think they planned to bring Mad Max in 2003 to Namibia already, but then because of this Iraqi war and the restrictions on shipping and traveling that the world has introduced, it did not work out. So then they also then wanted to do it in Broken Hill in Australia, but then the rains came, so Australia's loss became our gain, and that's lovely, yeah.
And what do you do, in terms of helping facilitate them to come to Namibia? What's been the biggest challenge or the most important thing you've had to do to make sure that can happen?
And I think our beautiful sceneries and kind of Namibia is not so known. It's out there. Nobody will be in their way to shoot. There were some environmentalists from Namibia who were asking whether shooting in that pristine landscape, the desert, which is for centuries has been protected, and it's kind of sensitive also whether it will not damage the environment and so on. But then our government came and they said that, look, let the people shoot. We cannot be sitting with a desert which is not of benefit. If we're talking about millions that are being spent in our country, that our people will be employed and so on. So unless if you want to say the desert should produce some money somehow, well, then let it be. However, also the positive thing that the producers of Mad Max did is to take a botanist and some other people and they actually did the tests on some landscape, and they cleaned up afterwards, and it is fine. It's like it wasn't touched.
And do you think that there will be a lot of jobs created during this period of shooting, or will they bring in most of the people from outside Namibia to work on the sets?
Yeah, the sad thing is that over the years, local people were really not introduced to filmmaking. What used to happen in the past is that the South Africans, because they are the more present in the industry, when they are contracted to do a picture, for example, they will bring South Africans, do everything, even including tea makers. You know, imagine that. And they will use them in Namibia and take them back to South Africa. But however, now over the last couple of years, we've been telling them, hey guys, this is our home, this is our town, so make use of us. So they've been slowly making inroads. You know, local people have been in the industry picking up some skills, and now they have introduced some training scheme where local people will be trained in every department. So we tell them, look, we want an X number of trainees in each department.
Is that a government program or privately funded?
Oh, it is both. We actually told the producers that, look, this is what we want. We'll get the people, since we also been shooting on video and things like that, so we are not entirely new for that matter. We know what we're talking about as well. So it is a partnership.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously been a lot of films made in Namibia before. I mean, there are parts of films like Beyond Borders with Angelina Jolie and Clive Owen, 10,000 BC, right? Roland Emmerich's film.
Yeah.
So did they not bring any sort of lasting influence to the area in terms of filmmaking?
Well, yeah, in that particular area where the Mad Max will be shooting, that's actually the mecca of filmmaking, you know. Everybody that comes there seems to choose that particular area to come. So there is really a culture of film, and people do understand what film is, and they tolerate it when you know, they don't stand in the way or look at something is happening. So they are used to that. So that culture is slowly but surely catching on, and people are, yeah, those who worked as laborers and so on, they became interested in it, and they are even on their way to becoming HODs.
What's your favorite project that's shot either in full or in part in Namibia?
I think so far Angelina Jolie's project, Beyond Borders, that really made, you know, and as very famous all over the world. And then the cherry on top of the cake was when she came back to get a baby in Namibia. So that boosted our kind of image abroad. She didn't choose to have her baby in Los Angeles, you know, one of these exclusive hospitals. She chose a small town in Namibia, and that I think did us wonders.
What do you think it is about Namibia that makes it, like, what's the most unique aspect of it that makes it attractive that can't be found somewhere else?
Well, we've got the infrastructure, we've got all the network. I mean, you could load your footage and send it on the click of a button to Los Angeles or anywhere in the world. You know, so we are set up communication-wise. The roads are good, the infrastructure is good, the English, everybody is conversant or speaks English. The weather, we've got like 12, 13 hours a day of clear sunshine. Our environment is not polluted. You know, the air is all as clear as you can get. The sky is blue, everything. You know, so there is a lot of things. You know, no way in the world I think you will get unspoiled beauty and sunshine and a beauty to sound people. You know, because there is no noise, there are no industries that pollute the air and sound and everything, so all that.
What about food? What would be the one thing I would have to try if I came to Namibia?
Well, the only thing that I am sorry about is the vegetarians, because we have a lot of beef, a lot of meat, but of course you have your fruits and veggies and things like that as well, so nothing really is not available in Namibia.
But is there a local something that everyone should have to try?
Yeah, you should. I should say you should try out our kapana. But it's not for vegetarians because that's meat. That's what, and our biltong, of course. Those are delicacies that somebody should try. Everybody should try before you go back.
If you could ask your government for one thing, what would it be?
We've been asking for it years and years. It's a more kind of political will to support the film arts. That is still very much lacking, because when we ask them that, look, we want, say, 5 million a year to US dollars a year to invest into films in the film industry, they tell us that we have more pressing issues, like building some clinics, or the education is also not good. We need to build schools and things like that. But then we tell them, look at California. It's one state that thrives because of the film industry. Look at Australia, where it started, and anywhere else. So let's not always be consuming other people's cultures. Let's also let the world start to consume Namibian culture.
Is there hope that Mad Max Fury Road will bring tourists as well, or that will blend well with the tourism industry?
I think if the numbers is something to go by, like what it did to Australia, for example, and then I think certainly yes. I certainly will expect to have the tourism, film tourism, to pick up very much, probably coming to visit sets. And it's got a big following as Mad Max, and everybody is anticipating for that. And so many years have passed, and so the whole attention is there. So hopefully in a couple of years, when it's on the screens, a couple of years later, we'll have many people from all over the world coming to visit Namibia.